Now, the ICC Cricket World Cup is off to a stupendous start here in India. But I have to say that the imagination of certain media organizations and their editors and their reporters runs wild. They have now, in a bizarre stretch of imagination, made this sporting platform as an alleged launchpad for BJP's third term in office. Now, we understand that these Soros and China-funded media organizations function with their anti-India propaganda. But to accuse the government of India of using the Cricket World Cup as a means to win the 2024 general election is a bit much. Now, these media reports and editorials are accusing the Modi government of allegedly demonizing Pakistan and the Muslims to polarize. But I must congratulate The Economist, Al Jazeera, The Guardian for coming up with such creative, truly out-of-the-box ways to then tarnish India's image and its government. The question is, who is buying it? Now, here's a reality check. The BCCI has single-handedly brought the Afghanistan cricket team on the international map. It would be relevant to note that the BCCI has provided the Afghanistan Cricket Board to use our own sports complex located here in Noida to use it as their home ground. And this is just a reminder for my ill-researched fellow journalists from Al Jazeera and Guardian and others. Now, some of the most legendary cricketers in Indian cricket have been Muslims. Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi, Muhammad Azharuddin, Irfan Pathan, Muhammad Shami are some of those cricketers. So, how does India account to be anti-Muslim? And incidentally, it was Qatar that owns Al Jazeera who hosted the FIFA World Cup not too long ago. It attracted global criticism for its open aversion to the LGBTQ tourists, its diktats to visitors to adhere to their repressive Islamic rules. No drinking on the streets, no clubbing, no public display of affection, no skin show, the list goes on. And it was the Pakistani cricketers who were seen offering namaz in the middle of a cricket field. And when they were backed up by their political leaders, goading them, saying it was spectacular to see the Pakistani players offering the namaz in front of the Hindus. Now, I didn't see a scathing editorial from these Western media attacking Pakistan of spreading Hindu phobia. And the second more serious and concerning matter that I want to raise over here that is being spread as anti-India propaganda peddled by these foreign media is that the government of India has unfortunately not taken any action against them. Media organizations like NewsX have been charged under UAPA for terrorist activities, terror funding, criminal conspiracy, and have been accused of promoting enmity between two groups. Then we must hold these foreign media organizations also accountable for spreading communal tensions. All these articles and editorials are written by Indians that have been hired by these Western media organizations and agencies. Their bureaus are here located in India. It's time for investigation agencies to expose these international propaganda syndicates whose sole agenda is to sow seeds of discord between Hindu and Muslim communities here in India. With this argument, I start my conversation with my panelists, Professor Madhav Nalapad on the telecast with me now. Professor, this is a grave charge that has been put forth by these media organizations, Al Jazeera, The Guardian, The Economist, the Chatham House. So the question again arises that why can't the government of India and the investigation agency now charge these groups, charge these international agencies for spreading hate, for spreading Hindu phobia, for stirring communal discord in our country?
Look, I would like to say that for a long time, you have seen these very outlets be negative about India. The fact is that they basically are unhappy with a country that is confident, with a country that, if I may say so, is united. As you very correctly said, the Muslim community in India and, may I say, the Christian community in India, both have made, along with their Hindu brothers and sisters, significant contributions in all fields of our national life, including in sports. Now, the fact is that India has done exceptionally well in the Asian Games. exceptionally well. I think we're going to reach 100 medal tally in the Asian Games, which I think is unprecedented. Now, none of this is frankly good news for Al Jazeera, for The Economist, for The Guardian. They have launched a campaign for quite some time against India. And the reason for that is Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and supported by the people of India, if I may say so, both have taken a very strong stand against efforts by China, frankly, along with its friends in Pakistan, along with its friends in some extremist networks, to try and dominate the Indo-Pacific. Now, you saw in the case of vaccines how WHO kept dilly-dallying about Indian vaccines, and yet it was Indian vaccines that went all over the global south, and no other vaccine. The WHO failed miserably, and even today they have tried to obscure the laboratory origin of the COVID-19 virus. So all this has been going on for quite some time. The fact is, as you correct, first of all, many of these individuals are heavily influenced by geopolitical forces that are inimical to the rise of India. China is an obvious candidate. Pakistan is an obvious candidate. Religious extremists are obvious candidates. And secondly, the reality of the situation is that it is somehow, they do not like to see a self-confident India.
Yeah.
They want to see an India that is ashamed of being Indian. They want to see an India where the leaders do not really believe in the country, or basically in their heart of hearts, they're more comfortable abroad.
More importantly, what I wanted to raise, the point being, there is a discord between the Hindu and the Muslim community that is being sowed. Now, what these articles and these editorials go about saying and indicating and hinting is that the BJP government is anti-Muslim. They are actually spreading Hindu phobia is what they are doing. In fact, I'm going to put out these articles that have been published by all these news agencies, and if I can put this out on our screens, put this out on our television screen, and here it is, the first article that has been put out by Al Jazeera, and the byline is of Sharda Ugra. So clearly an Indian journalist that has been paid, that has been hired by Al Jazeera. Remember, it is located in Qatar, it is owned by the state, and it goes about saying BJP's World Cup, India's Modi wields cricket as a political tool. From political influence to naming and the choice of stadiums and the demonization of Pakistan and Muslims, some say the BJP is using the tournament as a launchpad for a third term in office. Let's take a look at this headline by The Economist. It says, Narendra Modi has seized and politicized Indian cricket. India dominates the sport, and the way it uses its power is worrying. Chatham House, the article has been written by Salil Tripathi, again an Indian hired by this foreign media agency. It says, Cricket World Cup, how India wields power at the crease. The state of Indian cricket reveals insights into how Prime Minister Narendra Modi governs and how he wants the world to see his country. Quickly taking a look at this last editorial that has been written in The Guardian. This is again by Salil Tripathi, so it's been picked from Chatham House and put out on the Sunday Guardian. Modi operandi, India's ruling party will be the biggest hitter at the World Cup. Okay, particularly again, the arguments that have been put out by these articles and editorials that have been written are flimsy, are flaky, because what one of the articles goes about saying is that, the popularity and the propaganda and the promotion that has been done for the newly inaugurated Narendra Modi Cricket Stadium in Ahmedabad is actually propagation of the government and its achievements, and that's how Prime Minister is then going to garner votes from people for the 2024 general election. The question I want to ask is, there is also a Rajiv Gandhi International Stadium that is located in Telangana in Hyderabad. What do these international agencies have to say about that?
Here's about Economist and Chatham House today. That's my first question. Who actually reads Economist? I mean, here is this magazine which once actually was almost on the verge of supporting certain entity having allegiance to ISIS fighting against Bashar al-Assad in Syria. So let me tell you one thing, these organizations actually write articles for the bruised, fragile, battered egos of the Western white-skinned elites and the ecosystem they have. Al Jazeera is not no exception to that. There are two things I want to say. You see the sports and the entire World Cup is being maligned deliberately, the same way in which the Indian industrialists like the Adanis and the Ambanis have been targeted, simply because the Adanis and the Ambanis have been working on creating a resilient supply chain within the country, which would make India far more competitive and not just a mere marketplace. That is where they have a problem. India would manage this World Cup cricket far better than how FIFA World Cups are managed. So that is a problem they have. See, I'll tell you one thing. As you become a $5 trillion economy and then you become a $10 trillion economy, when they can't hit you directly, they would use these flanking routes to target you. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to ignore them, because it is so embarrassing for me also to say, if I say that, look, in Asian Games, here are the Hindus who also won, the Muslims also won, so that means India is equal. Because I have never looked at them as Hindus or Muslims or anybody. I have looked at them as passionate Indians who have put every ounce of their blood to win medals for the country. So sometimes we just need to ignore, and we should not expect an economist or a Chatham House to think or to presume that they would write anything else.
But why shouldn't the government of India then take action? Shouldn't our agencies take action, because they are sowing, seeds of communalism, seeds of discord, by way of polarizing, trying to polarizing Hindus and Muslims. That's exactly attacking the sovereignty of our country. This is exactly attacking the integrity of our country.
No, Megha, one thing. See, not every criticism can be put on the sovereignty issue. Yes, my bigger problem is this, that unfortunately in this country, you still have a section of such young people who still froth in the mouth if they get a chance to write for economists. That is the problem, and that has a lot to do with what we are groomed in the school and the universities by being told that nothing can be wrong when the West says something. If the West says something, it must be right. That is the problem. That is where, and that's what, see, why do they make them right? To give more credibility. That is the only thing, nothing else. Otherwise, they also know what nonsense and rubbish it is being written. I think we should have that kind of self-reliance. We should have a counter narrative. I appreciate the program, I appreciate what you're doing, but we should talk about the positives that we have worked upon in the last 10 years and as an independent country over the last 70 years, instead of thinking that economist is wrong, because economist will always be wrong. If economist starts becoming right, the world would be a different place to live in. These are the organizations and magazines which have justified every war since 1945, every war in which the West went. They are talking about Muslims. Here are these magazines, they justify the war in Iraq, in which, because of the sanctions, 500,000 children died because of lack of medicines, essential medicines. Would you ever see an economist come up and say that George Bush was wrong, or his father was wrong, or Clinton was wrong? No. So we should not. Let me tell you my last point.
Quickly.
I'm using a very strong word. They pimp for the highest bidder. That's what they do. So I do not expect them to be better than this. What I would do is that I would talk about positives about my country, and I'm confident my country is right.
Gautam Mukherjee, this is interesting to know that all these articles have come in different media organizations, different publishing magazines and editorials on the same date. And second of all, I would quickly also like to commend these editorials and these journalists and editors for coming up with these creative, out-of-the-box ideas to attack India. I mean, I really couldn't have thought of this myself.
Well, Megha, first thing, the counter-narrative has a lot of masala to it. For example, Qatar's FIFA bid for the World Cup was only successful because they bribed, and it came out all over the press, several of the board of directors in order to win the bid. Then they made much of it pipsqueak of a country that they are. They built a lot of infrastructure, and they tried to enter the world stage via it. They constantly try and attack India on a jihadi platform themselves. They're highly communal. They're an embarrassment in the Gulf to the bigger countries such as Saudi Arabia and UAE, who find their politics is a leftover from a couple of decades ago when, there was Islamic fundamentalism as a way to try and attack the West, and in the process, also the Hindu nation of India. As far as the BBC and Economist and Guardian go, this is par for the course. The usage of Indians to byline the article is, a kind of a fig leaf that most of these people use. But coming back to domination of cricket, we do dominate it. The BCCI is the richest cricket body in the world. The audience in India, it runs into nearly 1,000 million, both on TV as well as it fills all the stadiums.
But they're somehow ludicrously trying to link the BCCI's popularity to Jai Shah, who is the son of Amit Shah, who's currently the Union Home Minister and a BJP tall leader. And then there's some politicization that is taking place. But I don't know, why don't they put the facts and figures? Why don't they do their checks and balances that BCCI was already an established, the most rich board, a sporting board across the world. And Jai Shah was appointed much later.
Well, you can try, but how do you make it stick? It's illogical. There are great big inductive leaps being taken that are, unworkable. If Jai Shah had the magic wand to create the might of the BCCI, then that would indeed be something. This is what it is because the Indian cricketing audience is vast. They're willing to put down their money and fill the stadiums. They're willing to watch television, so much so that it's one of the most lucrative advertising fields you've got. Now, in all of this, there's nothing they can do. Now, if they want to put Narendra Modi alongside all this, well, good luck to us. If we are dominating cricket under the regime of Narendra Modi, excellent. What are you going to do about it?
I mean, we've won Cricket World Cups under the UP era also in the past. There was 1983, 11 years ago, there was another World Cup that had been won under Dhoni. So are they at this point of time saying that the UPA was hand in glove in promoting cricket as a political agenda to win election? It's so far-fetched, it's so funny, it's ludicrous.
The stadium mega has been brought into it because it has been named after Narendra Modi.
And the question I'm asking is, there is a Rajiv Gandhi International Stadium as well. So what are you saying? What are you saying, that there was collusion at the hands of the BCCI then and the UPA government and the Gandhis because they wanted to popularize Rajiv Gandhi and thereby garner votes of the people? Like I said, it doesn't add up. They're coming across as floozies. Their arguments are lazy, their research is lazy, their arguments are not holding ground, and I could bring out so many. Every single line they have mentioned in those articles, I can bring out a loophole in every single one. I would have been so happy to approach these journalists and bring them on the table and argue with them point by point and break their hypothesis point by point. Also, Shekhar Vijayan also on the telecast with me. Now, Shekhar, particularly with regards to what these articles and editorials claim, that they are saying that India and the government of India particularly is demonizing Muslims and Pakistan. Now the India-Pakistan cricket rivalry goes back from, I think, 1947. There are historical references to which this rivalry has gone about for decades together, and I don't know why the linkage to politics has been done, but there was a recent incident that I get reminded of. I think this cricket match was taking place in Dubai, and where there were these Muslim Pakistani players who offered namaz in the center of the field. And what the commentators in Pakistan and political leaders in Pakistan were saying was that it was exhilarating to watch our players offer namaz in front of Hindu players, in front of Indian Hindu players. Now, why hasn't an Al Jazeera article come out with a scathing editorial on demonization of Hindus by the Pakistanis, on spreading Hindu phobia by the Pakistanis?
Okay, Megha, thank you for having me over. I was just listening to your esteemed panelist, and I think what all these foreign publications fear of is India in bold letters. When we were in school or in college, we were always there was always one bully who used to intimidate you with their words, with their thoughts, with their ideas. But if you introspect yourself, you will know that you were stronger than them. This is India's moment. This is India's need to shine. The fact that the World Cup is happening in India and not in the subcontinent speaks for itself. The fact that in the Asian Games, India is going to be winning around 100 medals speaks for itself. The fact that we did the G20 so well, we organized it so well, speaks for itself. The fact that they don't know who to approach, they look at me as the man who they can target, speaks for itself. The fact that all these foreign publications are run by also runs from India, who have no work, who are just being emotional about the entire setup, and they're just jealous of India's success. The fact of the matter is we need to be united in such a situation, and I think Pakistan, on a lighter note, is feeling more comfortable here than being in Pakistan. I'm sure the players also quite agree. The fact of the matter here is India is a rolling juggernaut. India is an unstoppable force. And when you are an unstoppable force, you will always have some of them who will always try to stop you in whatever way they can. I think it's very important for us to believe in our leadership. It's very important for us to believe that we can do it, because we are such a diverse, such a beautiful country, such a dynamic country. There's no country like India. We are the largest and the oldest democracy in the world, and everything around us is crumbling as we talk. We have got very, very finicky neighbors, very funny neighbors, very shady neighbors, I would say. And India has been standing like a beacon, like a phoenix amongst all these countries. So I think if people are talking about us, it's good. Let them talk about it, because they cannot do anything about us. We are stronger than what they think we are. And as I said earlier, I think we're an unstoppable force. And when an unstoppable force means an immovable object, you know what really happens. India will always shine through all these situations, because India has faced these situations in this past. India has always had enemies from within and from outside. And India has always known how to handle this. Now we have got astute leadership in the form of Mr. Modi. We've got a good team sitting here. We've got the media like you, who's asking the right questions and questioning why it's very important to have a counter intuitive force behind it. But I think it's important for us to introspect. It's important for us to believe in ourselves, because I think we are stronger than that. And I think all these people who are talking about us, they really don't have any mettle. We don't need to really worry about them.
Professor Nalapat, I don't know, on a lighter note, like I said, all these editorials have come out on a single day, on 4th of October 2023. Now, I'm trying to gauge what must have happened in the newsrooms and the editorial meetings that must have gone on. And the fact that it's Al Jazeera, Guardian, Chatham House, Economist, the editor-in-chiefs must have all gotten on a con call saying which is the latest topic that we can pick to denigrate India, to do this Hindu-Muslim divide, to attack Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to speak about his alleged anti-Muslim propaganda, Hindutva propaganda. So let's come together, let's ask our editors, let's ask our reporters sitting in India and give them this brief.
Look, Megha, I want to point out one thing. First of all, Pakistan is doing a great job of demonizing itself, and the effort of these journals that you talked about is to basically divert attention from what is happening in Pakistan and what is happening there. The complete elimination of the minorities. I mean, I don't believe people in Al Jazeera or The Economist or The Guardian have done even primary school mathematics. You have about 200 million Muslims in India. Altogether, you've got about 235 million people who are minorities in India. You compare that huge figure with the number of minorities that are surviving in a country like Pakistan, and you will see the difference.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that that it is because of the persecution of Muslims, what certain people from India have publicly said is an ongoing genocide of Muslims since 2014, that the population has gone to more than 200 million? I mean, the mathematics proves them wrong. Everyday life proves them wrong. There are incidents taking place, and sometimes they involve Hindus and Muslims. But most cases, in my reporting career, 90% of these cases are interpersonal rivalries and not interfaith rivalries. So you may have a Hindu getting angry with a Muslim or vice versa, but not because they're Hindu or Muslim. But if everything is magnified by these people, as has correctly been said by previous panelists, they hate the fact that India is the success story.
Absolutely.
And they hate the fact that their own populations do not buy their rubbish, and they have a very high opinion of India. In all the countries where these are published, there is a very high opinion of India.
Yeah, absolutely. Quickly coming back to Pathikrit, a closing comment from you now. A larger consensus amongst all of you that we just need to completely ignore these commentaries that come from the Western world. But again, how do we tackle this?
No, first of all, we should keep on excelling in what we are doing. We should be completely, we should not allow anything impact us mentally. We should not become defensive in terms of trying to argue with them. But at the same time, it is also so very important to create a counter narrative, and you continue to push that narrative. See, let me tell you, sports itself is an indication of the economic health of the country and the discipline of the country. And there is no denial the manner in which the sports has worked today in Asian Games, the way the athletes have worked, is because an enormous amount of investments have been put into the training, and an enormous amount of effort have been moved by the government of India through Khelo India and everything else. So let us understand, we should keep our focus on innovation. At the same time, we should not let complacency come in that we have become the largest economy. We should continue excelling.
Okay, all right. So keep on pushing ourselves till we become the third largest and then the biggest economy of the world. All right. Gautam Mukherjee, quick comments now.
One of the things I want to say is very important. I mean, these countries would like to perpetuate some kind of equivalence between India and Pakistan. Now, this is ridiculous in the extreme. If there is any equivalence, it's between India and China. Pakistan has beggared itself and no longer counts for anything. If they're allowed to play in this match, it is by largesse of the World Cup in India, they're letting them play. They don't count for anything in world affairs except terrorism. And Al Jazeera and friends can do nothing about it. We have to be careful to resist this equivalence. There is no equivalence.
Absolutely. Shekhar, then a quick closing comment. Now, again, because we don't allow Pakistan to come and play in India, it's a problem for the West. We allow Pakistan to come and play in India in the International World Cup. There are questions that are being raised. How do we tackle it?
I think we should not worry about the West, because the West is only worried in having a trade relationship with India. I think India can manage itself very well, and India has done very well for itself so far. I think Pakistan has more to gain with India than India to gain with Pakistan. And I really believe we should not even speak about India and Pakistan in the same way, because India is at another level, Pakistan is at another level. There are two ends of the spectrum. And I think we have done very well for us so far. We should never ever compare ourselves to them, because we are at a different league altogether. That's what I believe.
Okay, all right. On that note, I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, sharing your views, and thank you viewers for watching us on NewsX.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.